Welcome to WNL Sports Weekly. I'm Jeremy Franklin. This week we'll speak with women's cross country coach Mike Dager and men's soccer captain Patrick Berry. But first, a quick look back at the weekend in Washington and Lee athletics. Volleyball went 2-2 at the WNL Invitational, with both losses coming to nationally ranked opponents. The Generals defeated Averett and Southern Virginia, but fell 3-0 to 7th-ranked Wittenberg and lost a 5-set encounter against number 22 Berry. Women's soccer split a pair of matches at its home tournament, dropping a 1-0 decision to Emory and then defeating Meredith by the same scoreline. Football improved to 2-0 with a 28-10 victory over Sewanee at Wilson Field, while men's soccer lost 1-0 to Catholic. Field hockey fell 2-0 to McDaniel, and women's golf tied for 4th at the O'Brien National Invitational in South Bend, Indiana. And in cross country, both WNL teams finished first among Division III competitors at the James Madison Invitational. Levi Waring and Max Strahler were the top two men's D3 runners, coming in 5th and 7th at the meet, while Samantha Yates led the women's D3 field and placed 14th overall. I'm joined now by women's cross country coach Mike Dager. Mike, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy.
In addition to Samantha, WNL had the other top two Division III finishers at JMU on Saturday. I know the weather conditions were not the greatest. Overall, how pleased were you with the team's performance?
Overall, very pleased. We handled the weather conditions, which were not ideal, very well, and they actually changed the start of the race, and we found out we were going to start an hour earlier than scheduled and about 40 minutes before race time. So they handled a lot of things that were beyond their control very well and raced well as a team.
You also had a few runners compete at the ODAC preview at Bridgewater on Friday. One of your October meets is at the regional venue at Shenandoah. How can WNL benefit from running regular season races on those postseason courses?
Sure, I think it's really important for us to get to those courses throughout the regular season. We're much better prepared after we see them or race them. We didn't have everyone race at the ODAC preview, but everyone got to see it. So I think we have a feel for that course, and that's really our race of focus for this season, is the ODAC Championship.
This is still a very young team. 2/3 of your roster is comprised of underclassmen. With that in mind, how important is the leadership of your captains?
Leadership is very important, not just with a young team, but with any team. And I think we have 3 very capable captains that are doing a great job, and the younger runners are really responding well to them. So I'm very pleased with the job they're doing and the direction this program is headed.
What are your expectations for WNL this fall?
Well, this is actually our 30th year of women's cross country at Washington and Lee, and it's an honor to be part of that historic program. We've won as a program 14 of the last 29 championships, and we think winning 15 out of 30 sounds like a pretty realistic and challenging goal, and I think that's what the team's focused on for this season.
Mike, thanks for joining us here. Best of luck this year.
My pleasure. Thanks, Jeremy.
Here with me now is Patrick Berry, junior soccer captain from West Roxbury, Massachusetts. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
The Generals are 2-2-1 on the season. What have the first 5 matches told you about where the team stands as you get set for ODAC play?
Well, obviously through 5 matches, we would rather have 5 wins, but we have learned some good things about the team with bringing in a bunch of young players. We're still figuring out our roster and the rotation, but we can tell the whole team is poised to have a great year. We're all on the same page that with hard work and dedication, I mean, we can work towards our goal.
As you just alluded to, WNL brought in a very large, very talented first-year class. What have the new players added to the team?
I think first and foremost, just some much-needed depth. Last year we were playing with around 13, 14 players, and this year we have a full roster and can play with 18, 19 players who can fill in at every position with not too big of a drop-off at all. So far we've kind of been bit with the injury bug, but it hasn't really hurt us because other players have been able to get into the mix, and we've kind of been able to see what we have as a whole.
With so much youth on the roster, how do you view your role as one of the captains?
A huge role. Me and my other 2 co-captains are really on the same page that we need to set a tone for this year, and we need to work towards our goal and to show that through our play, both on and off the field. And that'll be huge just for the young players to see what needs to be done, the work that needs to be put in day in and day out, because the season really, as it goes on, it becomes much of a grind, and it's a mental test. And I think with the right mentality shown from our leadership, I think that will be huge for us.
I know one of the Generals' goals is to compete for an ODAC championship. What does WNL need to do to make that happen?
I think it's just put in the work every day, and not just put in the work, but to get better every day, and not to take any steps back, and just take it day by day, because we really want to be clicking on all cylinders by the time the ODAC tournament comes around, and use this conference play to kind of get a test and gauge where we are at in the conference, and see what we need to do when the conference tournament comes around.
Patrick, thanks for joining us. Best of luck this fall.
Thank you.
It's time now for a look at the upcoming weekend. Women's soccer opens up ODAC play on Friday with a home match against Randolph, while the volleyball team will face the Wildcats on the road. Saturday's action features a rematch of last year's ODAC volleyball championship as the Generals visit Lynchburg. Elsewhere, men's soccer plays its first conference match at Bridgewater, and field hockey visits 16th-ranked Christopher Newport. On Sunday, women's soccer travels to Elizabethtown. Also this weekend, men's and women's tennis begin the fall season at the Mary Washington kickoff, while men's golf travels to Memphis for the Rhodes Fall Classic. And looking ahead to Monday, field hockey will play host to Catholic at the WNL Turf Field. For WNL Sports Weekly, I'm Jeremy Franklin. Thanks for watching.